No, it's good luck. Yeah, throw the one in the fridge out too.
You stay here?
Trump Tariffs.
Your feelings are your problem. I don't give a damn about them or you. I decline to take part in this struggle session, and I have nothing but contempt for anyone.
Well, the Diddy trial is prosecuting the wrong case, and there's something fishy going on with Red Lobster's bankruptcy. Also, some of you might be wondering who the hell I am. So today we're going to take you all the way back to the first story I ever covered on TikTok, where I exposed that there's poison in the baby.
Rando, good morning.
Welcome back to Kansas.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Welcome to a wonderful weekend. Not sure if this is helping you, bro. Helping me? Why? What are you talking about? Where's the fucking light? That's better, right? Yeah. So what's going on, my friends? The part where it said about not giving a damn about your problems. Where does it say that? Oh, you mean in another live stream when I said that people shouldn't care about strangers' problems, people they don't know? When it costs them their livelihood and the possibility of going bankrupt or losing their credit or being kicked out of their homes because of taxes? Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I don't think that people should be imposed upon when the government is taxing them out of pocket. Now, if the government simply taxed goods and services, then they can use that money for whatever they want to use it. After paying for social support, like police, fixing the roads, schools. Then when there's money left over, after they finance the government, then they can help other people. But don't force other people to use their money and then continue to increase their taxes in order to support people that they have no appreciation for this country. I mean, what country gives money to the United States? No one. No one helps us. No one cares if people go bankrupt, they lose their cars, they don't have a job, they don't have a place to live. Nobody cares about that. They just want. So there's people going through hard times in the United States. Why would the government help people outside of the United States with their money when they don't even have enough money to pay their rent, to pay their bills, to send their children to school, to afford a car, a cell phone? But yet they seek to take people's money and give it to people who will do nothing for this country. Mr. Juanita Flores, how you doing? Good morning. It's about time things get back on. Right. I mean, the only way things are going to get back on track is, one, we have to get rid of dual citizens out of politics. Any level of politics, anything. Even being on the school board. You cannot be a dual citizen and be in a political position. You just can't. Because they have a loyalty to another country. They feel like they don't want to give their loyalty 100% to the American government, to the American people, to the country of America. They want to give their 50% support to another country while living here, reaping the benefits and lobbying for that other country that they come from or that they want to be part of. Well, if the country's being invaded, it's their own fault. Why would you allow that? I mean, how stupid can you be? Why would you allow that? So they have weak governments. And a lot of those governments have dual citizens in their politics, just like us. You know, just like this country. The dual citizens in this country have wreaked havoc on our politics. Exactly, Ms. Flores, Juanita, exactly. I mean, they force citizens that make minimum wage to pay taxes. Everybody pays. You can make nothing and you will pay taxes. Donald Trump is the only president who wants to eliminate taxes for people making up to $200,000. That's everybody in the country. That's everybody in the country, up to $200,000. That's everybody and yet the Democrats and the Republicans don't want to vote on it. They don't want that. They want to continue to tax the people into like misery, into oblivion. What will the Irish do? The Irish has a great economy. Allegedly, that's what they say. Ned, how you doing? Flandy. I believe it when I see. Well, I mean, what the government has to do is what I think Donald Trump is actually trying to do is remove the burden of taxation from the citizen and shift that burden to the consumer. In other words, he's going to seek to find taxes in other places, like places where in America, businesses are not collecting sales tax. That's basically what it comes down to. There's a lot of businesses in America that don't collect sales tax. You know, like education. Like, why are these universities not collecting sales tax? You're providing a service to adults coming to you seeking an education, right? And they're not paying sales tax. Anna George, hello, how are you? Hi there, sir. I can hear you talking right now. And I can hear you talking about Trump too. Do you know that I hated Trump of the way he's hated? So you don't hate Trump any longer? Guys, how you doing? Billionaires aren't paying tax. It doesn't matter. Why would you know why they don't want to pay taxes? Because they know that their money goes nowhere. That's why. Because a billionaire values their money. So whether they stole it or not, right? Whether they got it corrupt through USAID or whatever, once they have it, they value the money they have. Now, these people that are billionaires, they know where the government is spending the money. So if they don't want to pay taxes, they're like, I'm not paying into that shit. How can you blame them? Do people increase? No, the people don't increase the value of buying things. Anna George, thank you. Did you like the hot dog speech? Is that what you want to? The hot dog speech? If you don't pay taxes, you go to prison. Well, exactly. Why is that a law? Why is it if you don't pay, you go to prison, but they can give all your money away to refugees, to foreign countries, to USAID, to things that can never ever benefit anybody paying these taxes? What is the point of that? The government would rather put you in jail than lift the burden of tax off the citizen and place it all on consumerism, imports, domestic consumerism, everything. Or him disrespecting the Pope. Look over the hot dog speech. I don't know what you're talking about. Read the entire message. They're taxing your money by not paying taxes. No. They're not taxing my money by not paying taxes. I don't even know what that means. Billionaires are not the government. The government is taxing the people. And they're lifting the burden of taxation. Like the Democrats, they rallied so Canada doesn't have to pay import taxes. Why would they do that? Why would they help Canadian companies and billionaires and multimillionaires and all these business owners in Canada that want to import their goods in the United States, but yet they don't want to help the American people not pay taxes? Because what did they say? Oh, it's going to hurt the consumer. Because they're separating, when they say that, you're being separated. You're a citizen and you're a consumer. Citizens are forced to pay taxes. Consumers have a choice to pay taxes when they purchase things. If you have to pay taxes, but it's not that they don't pay taxes. They go by the tax law. I don't agree with Donald Trump raising the property tax deduction to $30,000 a year, which absolutely makes no sense. Why would the government now increase its take more debt from the states? That's what the government is doing. It's absorbing property tax debt, which allows states to increase your property taxes. It's just stupid. The whole thing is just dumb. So the states want to increase our property taxes, and then they'll say, oh, don't worry, you could write it off at the end of the year. Why would you want to write off something and get back like 3%, 4% of that? When you write off $30,000, you don't get anywhere near back $30,000. I don't want anybody to be taxed, Rhonda. I think the only thing that should be taxed are commodities, goods and services. Like if you go to a township and you apply for a permit to do work in your house, you should pay a tax on that. If you're a student and you want to go to college or you want to go to trade school, you should pay tax on that tuition. If you're a lawyer and you get hired by a client or a customer, that lawyer should collect the sales tax. If the lawyer wins a case and he earns $30,000 or $100,000 in that case, the person that the $100,000 should be taxed. Because in reality, the lawyer did his job and won, let's say, $200,000. And they split 50-50. The lawyer didn't win the $200,000. The client won the $200,000. The lawyer provided the service for the client to win the $200,000. So when the court or whoever pays the $200,000, the lawyer gets the $100,000. The lawyer should tax that $100,000 because that he got paid $100,000 for the service that they provided. But that's not the case. That's not the case. There's a lot of businesses out there that don't collect tax, sales tax, and they're solely basing taxation on people, on human beings. And whenever you see a politician, that's what you should tell them. Why are you taxing me? And why are lawyers exempt from collecting taxes? Or accountants or architects? Or many businesses that don't collect sales tax? Like education. Why is that the case? If Cornell University collected sales tax each year on all their students, they would collect $100 million a year for the state of New York. And New York has 422 colleges. That's not even counting trade schools and other little bullshit schools that they have. They could probably get out of financial debt just with collecting that tax. Why does nobody likes being taxed? Everybody complains about taxes. Everybody. Billionaires to the poorest fucking guy there is. A person that's working for minimum wage, when they get their check, they complain about this as, oh my God, I'm making no money and I'm being taxed. Which is, I agree with them. They're not making anything and they're getting taxed. You know, like, why are they giving all this new construction businesses that are building up these apartments tax abatements? Like, how is that possible? How do people not up and going bananas that they're building these big buildings for themselves to make a profit? They're not building it for anybody. If they're drawing a profit, like because they're saying it's low income housing and they're drawing a profit, then there should be no tax abatement. Period. You know, if anything, the city can give them like free water. Free water. You know, like the city picks up the water bill for whatever, for 5 years. That's not like eliminate the whole property tax for 20 years. That's fucking insane. That's crazy. But yet the township doesn't mind taxing they want to raise my taxes 12.29%. After they just raised it this year, $995. Now they want to give me another increase. Yet they're letting all these businesses not collect sales tax. Like in my state, there's no tax on clothes. Why? How do they justify you buying a $150 pair of sneakers and there's no tax on that? That's not a necessity. That should be like limited to $10. The first $10 isn't taxed. That's it. You don't eliminate the entire tax burden and put it on my house. Put the burden of the tax on in my town. There's a fucking mall. There's a giant mall. There is shopping in this town, supermarkets, gas stations, businesses like you cannot imagine, right? And yet, many of those businesses don't collect sales tax. Don't collect sales tax. Like this town has a Home Depot, and it's half the tax because of urban development. What? Imagine that. I went to buy a storm door, and there's no tax on the storm door. No tax. But yet the state wants to force my town to increase my taxes 12.29%. But yet all these businesses don't collect sales tax. Well, nobody's saying anything unless Chat filter. Yeah. This guy's on Candace Owen, and he couldn't even wear like a nice shirt. He's wearing like this dirtbag t-shirt that he pulled out of the closet. Looks like they didn't even comb his hair. Like, I'm gonna like say, hey Cam, why don't you tell your friend to wear a fucking decent shirt and comb his hair when he goes on YouTube? Candace goes on looking beautiful with a beautiful dress on, makeup. She looks gorgeous, and this guy comes on like they found him in the subway. And now the state is talking about raising electricity bills because people now are charging their cars in their homes, right? And they're not paying any gas tax. So now we're all going to pay for these fucking electric cars. It's just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. How these politicians claim that they have an education, but they're all fucking stupid as fuck. If you own an electric car, then they should tax them extra. Don't spread the burden of that tax on me. I don't own an electric car. I own a gasoline-powered vehicle. I'm paying road tax. You know, or just tell them, like, okay, you got to tell us how many, like, you got to go to inspection every year and see how many miles you put on, then you got to pay a tax. Whatever the road tax is when you buy gasoline, you got to pay that. You drive 25,000 miles a year, then you got to pay that. That's why people are buying electric cars. It's cheaper to drive an electric car. Now I'm paying for you to drive an electric car or a battery-powered car. Right? The Green New Deal. Democrats once again helping industry and putting the burden of taxation on the people, because the only party or whoever the fuck they are, we're lobbying for Green New Deal, we're Democrats. And the Green New Deal is taxation. That's what it is. They're not helping anybody. The environment doesn't need human beings to help it. The environment has its own ecosystem. That's what it's called. It's an ecosystem. The environment takes care of itself. It doesn't need people. I mean, naturally, like if they're dumping tires and fucking plastic in the ocean, okay, you know, we should go clean it up, right? But when it comes to like gases, that does nothing to the environment. No, look, the skies are clean. They've always been clean. Like in the Industrial Revolution, naturally you had pollution because it was a confined, congested area that they were all burning coal at the same time. Of course you're going to see smoke in the air. But at nighttime, the smoke went away. It was gone. Then when they fired up the furnaces again, the smoke came back. The planet thrives on carbon monoxide. I don't know if anybody knows that. Thrives. Plants thrive on carbon monoxide. If we eliminated all carbon monoxide, the plants would fucking die. Right? Plants need carbon monoxide. Well, I'm waiting for a worker to come here and do some work in my house. No one's commenting. I am shocked. No one is commenting. What is going on? Why is everybody so quiet? Usually everybody's disagreeing with me. What are you talking about? You have a duty to pay property taxes. It's your duty. You should pay property taxes. How dare you? How dare you not pay property taxes? Who do you think you are? How dare you not want to pay out-of-pocket money that goes to other people that literally like tell you to go fuck yourself? I mean, These people don't, you know, I know people that are on Section 8 that get $4,000 a month. 4,000, imagine that. People lose their homes over property taxes, and then the state turns around and gives other people $4,000 a month to live in a home because, you know, they can't, whatever the fuck the reason it is. But yet, if I don't pay my mortgage and my property taxes, which is nowhere near $4,000 a month, they'll kick me out of my house. So if I go to say, hey, I don't have the money to pay my mortgage, can you help me out? Fuck you. Sell your house, get out. Erwin Curtis. What am I talking about? Well, maybe if you hang around a little bit, you'll know. I'm talking about taxes. You know, like everybody's against tariffs. Well, it's going to hurt the consumer. Oh, you're going to pay more. Oh, but it's okay paying more taxes though, right? That's okay. Yeah, why not? Let's pay more fucking income taxes, more property taxes. Yeah. Why don't we do that? I like income taxes, right? I don't want to pay taxes when I buy a pair of shoes. Why would I do that? Right? Ooh, how cool is that? I can go buy a $30, let's say, you know, whatever, $30 pair of shoes and not pay taxes. But they're going to raise my property taxes $1,000 every year. Oh, that's great. That's so, but I can save money on buying shoes and underwear and socks. Oh, thank you. I need to wipe my chin. I don't see anything. Gary Green. Why is your name Gary Green and the color of your whatever that is orange? Nobody owns a house. The city owns the property, and well, that's my point. See, Governor Ron DeSantis is saying that he wants to eliminate property taxes for the state of Florida, so that everybody owns their home, right? I don't know if that would include condos and co-ops, but that's what they want to do. Oh, we got a comment held for review. Oh, we could show that. It's my last name, you megatard. What is that, megatard? What are you trying to say, Mr. Green? What? Gary. You spell Gary with 2 R's? Or is it Gary? Gary? How do you spell Gary? Let me see. Is that the way you spell Gary? How do you spell Gary? G-A-R-Y. Why is it G-A-R-R-Y? What does that even mean? Gary Newman. Okay, so there's other people spell their names with 2 R's. Okay. Erwin Curry, hey, Mr. Green, do you know Professor Plum? Professor Plum. Oh, plums are green? No, they're purple, aren't they, or blue? More coffee. Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh. Because he sold his boat. All right, a little cornbread. Fold. You like my couch? I put that on there so the seats don't get filthy dirty. Mohammed Ahmed Latawala. Good morning, Professor. Good morning, sir. Welcome to class. I'm glad you could make it. I'm doing okay. How you doing? You gotta go, Erwin? Take care, buddy. My neighbor's out and about. Mohammed, what do you think of Donald Trump? Saudi Arabia working. Oh, let me ask you a question. So, what was that whole thing when the girls took off their headgear and started waving their hair for Donald Trump? That's high respect, right? Because usually they would keep the women covered up, right? The Saudi Arabians love Donald Trump. The United Arab Emirates, the other Arab country they went to, they gave Trump carte blanche. The future of yeah, but the Democrats don't want a better economy. They want oppression. They want to tax people. They want to tax people. You know what they even did? The first time Donald Trump went to Saudi Arabia, Melania Trump didn't go because I think they told her, you got to cover your hair. She says, I'm not doing that, so fuck you, right? This time, when Donald Trump went, she didn't have to, she was with him. She didn't, and you saw her, she didn't cover her hair. Nor did Ivanka Trump, his daughter. And even, what's his name, Kushner, her husband went with her. But I've seen her with her hair covered. It's not that they don't have patience. They're crooks. They don't want the benefit of the American people. They don't want that. They want the people to be miserable and pay taxes. You know, and just they think like they're better than everybody, Democrat. They don't realize that they work for America. They don't work for themselves. They don't work for Canada. They don't work for Saudi Arabia. They don't work for China. They work for America. And then since elections are basically, you know, not on the up and up, they continue to get reelected. Like who voted for Jerry Nadler? You know how many times they redid his district? So he would get he wouldn't even need any votes to stay in the seat that he's in. Who votes for Nancy Pelosi? Why would you vote for her? She does nothing for California. She's done nothing to help California. Nothing. These people are all appointed. They're not elected. Believe me. What the fuck is he doing? People vote for politicians to make their lives better. Their lives. I vote for Donald Trump because he's promising to make my life easier. And how has your life become easier in the United States? Is by not paying taxes. That's it. That's all you should want from a politician. Don't worry about who's using whose bathroom, whatever it is, because all they got to do is put locks and let one at a time go in the bathroom. That's it. Car care, right? I agree with that. Bankers, right? Bankers, the pharmaceutical industry, a lot of industries select them. Yeah, of course. Even foreign countries, you have all these dual citizens in these high offices, judges that are dual citizens. How is that fucking possible? So, like, you can get a country that is our enemy, China, right? And just go in and pay enough money and put a politician in office to make laws for them, to help them make more money in their country. Kathy Randall, laugh out loud, fool. Who's a fool? You mean aloof? Are you trying to call me aloof or a fool? Did you spell that backwards? I remember a long time ago, my teacher, he called me aloof. Hey, come here, you aloof. I was like, what? Aloof? What are you talking? I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, what does that mean? He goes, fool, backwards, aloof. I was like, oh. Oh, so you can't directly call me a fool because it's against school policy. But you can call me aloof. Money don't help them. Things are getting worse. Well, if the Democrats had their way, USAID would, like, even the Republicans don't want to vote to eliminate USAID for foreign countries. Why? Why would you not vote on that? They have the House and the Senate. They could change this whole country right now. But the Republicans are all rhinos and they're all in on getting USAID and getting kickbacks and all of this shit. Nick Fuentes for president? I like Nick. Well, Donald Trump wants to eliminate taxes. What other president has tried to eliminate taxes, Kathy? Yeah, I like Nick Fuentes. Jason Spock Smith. Hello, Jason. Democrats never, ever run on lowering taxes. They only run on gloom, doom, fear tactics. That's it. The world's going to end. Yeah. Oh, climate change. The world's going to end. AOC in 12 years. And they're going to put her up for president. Imagine saying that. That in 12 years the world's going to end. Let's raise white conscience. I don't give a shit about any of that. GIK, white, black, Chinese. I could care less. All I care about is lowering my taxes. That's it. At least eliminate my property taxes. Exactly. You know what the biggest problem the rich has is managing their money. You know, you think like it's easy to manage, but I guess it is. Because they just hire people to do it all for them. What's your opinion about stock market? Stock market is a private industry. Who cares if the stock market goes down? Who cares? That has nothing to do with the government. Nothing. That's a privately run organization. No, we haven't. We haven't fallen as whites. How are we falling as whites? The poor has it easy. This is why they are popular. I mean, if you're on Section 8 and you're on welfare, and you're not, you're not really using a lot of your money, you don't have to work that hard, and you're living off the government, yeah, you're basically rich. You're a wealthy person. I mean, if the government, like my friend is getting $4,000 a month, Section 8, to live in a home, a beautiful home on 1 acre of land, 4 bedrooms, gorgeous, beautiful private area, $4,000 a month. That's $48,000 a year. The government is giving her, the state. Where are they getting that money? Through taxes. 48, just one person, 40, they're paying billions in Section 8, billions and billions of dollars. Good, you're better off, work for cash. I mean, if you can live on cash and not have credit cards and just buy whatever you need with cash, you know, that's smart. You know, buy a cheap car with cash, whatever. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Car care. Well, Donald Trump wants to eliminate USAID and other things that are costing the government a lot of money, and politicians are against it. Well, I mean, I'm a big guy against gold for when the shit hits the fan, because, you know, I don't know. I mean, you're not going to be able to, I don't know, I guess take it with you. What is this guy doing? My neighbor's under his brand new car, his truck. He's jacking it up. What the fuck is he doing? Better watch that tire doesn't fall on his fucking head and crush it. Is this guy? Hold on, guys. Is this guy? Well, I'm waiting for this guy to come work on my house. He's not here yet. I mean, yeah, gold is good. Yeah, silver. I mean, anything like that. God. I mean, real estate is as good as gold. You know, in a good market. I mean, in my opinion, gold is useless. I mean, you can't do anything with it. It's just a base value, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is another example of gold, right? You can't do anything with it. They pretend that it has all this value that it doesn't. So gold, in reality, what can you do with it? You can't eat it. You can't build with it. The only thing you could really basically do with gold is make jewelry and make like electronic components. But the only thing is either to make good contacts, and that's really it. And there's other forms of metals that can make a good contact. I had an egg sandwich. I had eggs and coffee. Right, taxes, fiat, right. Cash is fiat money. All cell phones. Yeah, but I mean, it's not that much. They don't use that much. They have so much gold, it's not even funny. To me, what has more value is oil. Oil is more valuable than gold, because without oil, you can't use gold. You can't melt it. So if you mine gold and you get the ore, you gotta melt the shit. How are you gonna get the gold out of it? How are you gonna make gold bars? You gotta melt it. So you need energy to make the gold. And how do they make energy? With oil. That's why we're on the gold standard. The only difference between the gold standard and the oil standard, right, or the monetary system, is that oil replaced gold, but the labor and industry is still there. The gold standard is not only gold, it's gold, labor, and industry. All three put together. Okay, so what are you going to smelt gold with? Zone. What are you going to use to smelt gold? You need fuel, right? Oil, gas, natural gas is not that hot. Doesn't burn that hot. An oil-based furnace burns much hotter. You can melt steel with oil. You know how hard it is to melt steel with fucking gas? Natural gas? It's not that hot. Coal, okay, it's the same thing. Energy. The monetary system, that's basically what it's based on. Energy. Without energy, you have no society. Imagine there was no more power. All the food in our refrigerators would go bad. Everything would spoil. We don't know how to store food the natural way. We don't have that, like a cold basement, cold storage. We don't have that anymore. We depend on refrigeration that depends on energy. You can't keep your food cold with gold. You can't even make bullets out of gold. It's too soft. That's why they make bullets out of copper and lead. Well, I guess maybe you could make bullets out of gold. What's softer, lead or gold? Right, without energy, you could take gold and shove it up your ass. You can't do anything with gold. What did the Romans or the Egyptians or any of these civilizations do with gold? They made jewelry out of it. They didn't make weapons out of it. Right? What made the Vikings so powerful? They had better steel. That's why. They didn't fight the Europeans or the English with gold swords. They had fucking harder steel. So when they would fight the other guys with the softer steel, they would bend their swords. That's what happened in the Bronze Age. They were fighting their enemy, and the other enemy had harder weapons, and they fucking destroyed the other side. Copper, lead, and brass. And don't forget iron. Without iron and steel, you can't build that shit. All our cars are made out of steel. All the buildings, everything is steel. Concrete is reinforced with steel. Well, they probably got the ore, but they knew how to make the steel harder. They had better blacksmiths, I guess, than the Europeans did. Because how can a handful of men overpower entire villages? Because they had better weapons. But I guess this guy's not coming. Well, I had another guy come give me a quote to do the job, but I didn't show him the garage. We made it for millions of years without today's system. Exactly. But you have to also consider society has been thriving without gold, because the majority of 90% of the people on the planet don't have gold. So really gold isn't that valuable. But 100% of the people on the planet depend on energy, some kind of fuel to survive. You can't survive on gold. Well, I mean, I'm waiting for an electrician to do some electrical work, and I'm not that great at doing that. I mean, I could try, but no, the Vikings didn't have superiority because of better metallurgy. They were physically larger than most. No, it was the weapons. It was the weapons. It was the weapon. The Vikings were probably just as big as the people they were fighting. They came from the same areas. You know. So they had the only thing I can like. They had the fear factor. You know, they were bearded. They looked fucking. They had horns and they were scary looking, but they had better weapons. I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, I'm glad you do. You should go through life believing that you know what you're talking about. Anything unknown. I have gold. I go out looking all the time. All my gold I get. Oh, you get it for free? You find it? Excellent. That's what I should start doing. Mining for gold. Exactly. That's my point. Better way, like the Germans, when they had the superior weapons over Poland, and they blitzkrieged. That's what it comes down to. Weaponry. Exactly. Without oil or energy, gold is useless. Useless. Right, having a good job, making good money is wealth, of course. All right, that makes sense. That not all Vikings wore horns on their heads. Whatever. I'm just making a point where I read that the Vikings had better steel than the Europeans. Why? Because the kingdoms in Europe at the time were greedy people. They didn't want the people living amongst them, like the rich, to have good weapons to overpower them. So they never developed high weaponry because they were afraid that they would get overthrown by the peasantry or the bourgeoisie, whatever it is. You know, they would have a revolution. Where the Vikings, they didn't give a shit about that. And that's probably one of the reasons why the Europeans never developed highly effective weapons, because of fear that the kingdoms would lose their power. Right, we live in a not a federation. Oh, I forgot the word. A republic. We're a republic, and we vote by way of democracy. That's no good. Throw it out. No, don't toast it. It's no good. Throw it out. It's no good. Yeah, she wants me to eat like rotten food. Oh, don't throw it out. I can't. I'm not going to eat rotten food and get fucking food poisoning. I'm sorry. So basically, like the Europeans, you could see throughout history, I mean, they thrived, but, you know, they made very bad decisions. Very, very bad decisions. Just like today. You know, letting in all that migration, like, for no reason at all. Absolutely zero reason. Like, you're bringing in people to put them on welfare. Like, what the fuck? Who would even consider that? Oh, let's bring in millions of people and put them all on welfare. No, the USA belongs to the people. We don't belong to the country. It's we the people, not we the government. Right, because the Europeans didn't want, like, the people that, well, let's say, was living under a lord to be vicious and take arms up against him. So basically, most of the people weren't even armed to fight them. And the soldiers were probably not even armed as good because they were afraid of losing their power, their kingdoms. Spears don't require high quality steel to be effective, nor do axes, and spears were the primary weapon, not swords. Well, once you throw your spear, you gotta go hand-to-hand combat. So you could avoid getting hit by a spear. I mean, they're not coming at you that fast, and you could see it, and you gotta throw it from a distance. I mean, the Romans threw spears, and yeah, they were soft. Exactly. So the masters didn't want the people to be armed, just like the Chinese. You know, when you read like they were banned from owning weapons, so they had to create weapons out of farm tools. They mastered fighting with farm tools. You know, where the Vikings believed in making everybody a fierce warrior. You know, so they probably had maybe a smaller population, but they were all able to fight. Do you know the U.S. Constitution is the United Nations Constitution? I don't know what you're talking about, car care. Sign up, Trump 2028. Spears aren't for throwing, they're for sure in hand to hand. Javelins. I agree with you. That's why you see European citizens uprising, pitchforks and. Right, exactly. He's 20 minutes away. It's just like the Democrats want to eliminate the Second Amendment, right? Why do they want to do that? Why did Justin Trudeau eliminate the Second Amendment for Canadians? Not that they had a Second Amendment. I'm just using that as a term, right? He took away everybody's Second Amendment in Canada. Europe, right? In Russia. Only in the United States we have the Second Amendment. You know, there are other countries that it's legal. So it's the same thing like in the European culture back then with the Vikings. The people were unarmed. So when these Vikings raided villages, everybody was unarmed. They had fucking nothing. And then when they approached the soldiers were even, no, I don't want them. I'm slow. The soldiers are underarmed. They couldn't fight them. Well, the people own the country. It's we the people, ourselves. It doesn't talk about country, owning the people. We the people of the United States. It's not the United States and its people. Common laws came from Vikings? Okay. I thought common laws came from the Bible. We the people is not we the people? No? What is that? What does we the people mean, car care? They're coming, 20 minutes. Hmm?
Look at this.
What the fuck is he doing?
He texts you.
Yeah. Changing his tire. Common law does come from the Bible. Common law is not capital. Bible law or Constitution. They did away with registering guns in Canada. You are allowed to own guns. I don't know. I thought Justin Trudeau took away gun rights. Kathy Randall. Let's see. What gun rights are there in Canada? In Canada, firearms are federally regulated, and while ownership is permitted, it's not a constitutional right like in U.S. citizens. Citizens need to obtain possession and acquisition license to own firearms, which require passing a safety course and meeting certain criteria. Restricted firearms, handguns require additional restricted possession and acquisition. There are also prohibitions on certain types of firearms, including those with high muzzle velocity. So high muzzle velocity, that's all firearms. All modern day firearms is high muzzle velocity. So what are you gonna have as a firearm? Prohibitions on certain types of firearms, including those with high. So you can't own like an AR-15 or a 30-06 or whatever. What are you gonna have? Even a 22 is a high muzzle velocity. A fucking 22 maximum effective range is huge, depending on the ammo you're using. Not whatever. But the only people who want to take away your rights are Democrats, liberals. That's it. You know, but it's okay for them to have taxpayer-funded security guards. Yeah, that guy Kerry, the new president, whatever the fuck he is. He wasn't even born in Canada. He's not even a Canadian-born citizen. He's probably not even a Canadian citizen. They pulled this guy out of their ass. You know, and then he's just a tool. You know, he doesn't give a shit about how can you tell somebody you can't lift your truck? Because they don't want people owning, they want to push electric cars. That's basically what it comes down to. Push electric cars. And who's going to benefit from that? Canada, China. They're going to make all the parts for these electric vehicles. The Trump admin is literally acquiring to take any rights. Like what rights? Subsonic ammo? Edward, how you doing? Simply Animal, how are you, buddy? Yeah, because you shouldn't be able to come here pregnant, give birth, and then fly back home and your kid's an American citizen. I had a friend whose family did that. So her family migrated from China to Jamaica. And the father and I guess the mother were importers. So they would import crap from China, sell it to Jamaican merchants, and that's how the guy did his business, right? So she had a brother, and he was born in Jamaica. But when the mother gave birth to my friend, they came to America. And she gave birth to my friend in America, giving her birthright citizenship. And then they took her back to Jamaica. Once the baby was born, she got an American birth certificate. I don't know much longer they stayed here. I forgot. And then she went back and lived in Jamaica for years. Went to school there, everything. And then when she was old enough, she got on a plane and fucking came to the United States. Because she's an American citizen. So Donald Trump wants to put an end to that. You know how many people do that? Fly here and give birth and then have birthright. Birthright, that's not what birthright is. Birthright was for people who were born here after the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. So if you were born here, you had birthright. If you weren't born here, you had to be living here for such a long amount of time in order to become a citizen. That's what birthright meant. It didn't mean that if it's just like, stating that the Constitution applies to all. Or when they say persons in the 4th and 5th Amendment, that it applies to everybody in the world. That's fucking stupid. That's stupid to even believe that. But that's what an anchor baby is, yeah. Yeah, so like if you come here pregnant, you're 9 months, why the fuck would you travel 9 months pregnant? And you give birth, the doctor should let me say, where's your passport? What country are you from? And give you a temporary birth certificate. So when you go back to your country, you show your country here. Here's a birth, here's a temporary birth, and then the country issues you a birth certificate from the country you're from. How can you not protect the sovereignty of the American people? That's what the Democrats don't do. They don't do anything for this country. Nothing. Everything is for foreigners. Everything the Democrats do benefits foreigners over American citizens. They impose on the American people to help foreigners. Foreign countries, foreign people, foreign corporations. Anything they can do for foreigners, they'll spend billions of dollars. But when it comes to American people, fuck you. Habeas corpus. What is that again? What is habeas corpus again? What is habeas corpus? Habeas corpus is a fundamental legal principle and right that protects individuals from unlawful imprisonment. It's derived from the Latin phrase habeas corpus, meaning you have a body and essentially functions of... Right, habeas corpus is for American citizens. Not if you're here on a visa, you're here on vacation, you're here on a work visa, you're here on like a weekend for work. That's not... The government can pull your green card, your visa, anytime it wants. For anything. You could fart in the wind and hit the wrong nose, and that motherfucker could turn around and say, I'm going to deport you. And you can get deported. Habeas corpus is for American citizens. People who are born here, people who are naturalized, and people who have green cards. And people with green cards are limited to their liberty in the United States. Limited. They can't vote. You can't vote if you want to hold a green card. So the government reevaluates your status every 10 years on a green card, and you got to pay for it. I think it's like $1,000 every 10 years. So once again, the Democrats take American laws that are solely for the American people and apply it to illegal aliens or people here on visas. Well, why would they do that? Because they're against the American people. The Democrats are the enemy because the majority of Democrats are all dual citizens. All of them. Basically, like 90 of them all have dual citizens. And it's growing. The guy who wants to impeach Trump, the guy from India, he's a dual citizen of India. Ruled on what? What did they rule, scrimpy animal? That foreigners are entitled to habeas corpus? It's fucking wrong, if you ask me. Man, this guy's still talking? No, it's almost over. When you're in the United States on a visa, a student visa, you have to apply for the visa, right? So when you want to go to college on a student visa, you have to prove to the government that you can support yourself. Whether your parents are sending you money, you can't work on a student visa unless you get a job cash, but you can't work. You're only here to go to school and study. That's it. That's it. You have no rights to protest, impede on other people's liberty. Yeah. You have no rights like that at all. You have no right to due process. If you're arrested by ICE and ICE deems that your passport or your visa is going to be revoked, then they'll just fucking put you on a plane and send you home. When you come to the United States, you have to go to customs. If there's a flag under your name, you know what customs does? They say you can't come in. There's no due process for you. They take you in the back, sit you in a room, and tell you you have to make arrangements to leave the country. That's what they do. Why would they give you due process and let you in the country? Who the fuck came up with that?